Ben Torres wiped the sweat from his forehead as he checked the cargo manifest one more time. His small transport ship, the Wanderer, was loaded with mining equipment bound for the Zephyrian colonies. It was not glamorous work, but it paid well enough to keep him flying among the stars. The Zephyrian system was known throughout the galaxy for its advanced technology and ancient culture. Their people were tall, graceful beings with silver skin and large purple eyes. They had been traveling between stars for thousands of years before humans even discovered fire. Most Zephyrians looked down on humans as primitive newcomers to space. Ben did not mind their attitude. He had grown up on a mining colony where hard work mattered more than fancy bloodlines. His father taught him to fix anything with spare parts and determination. His mother showed him that kindness was worth more than gold. These lessons served him well as he made his living hauling cargo across the galaxy. The communication panel crackled to life as Ben approached the Zephyrian convoy. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Crix of the Royal Escort. You will maintain distance and follow assigned flight path. Do not deviate." "Understood, Admiral," Ben replied. Cargo ship Wanderer ready to follow. The convoy was impressive. 12 sleek Zephyrian warships surrounded a massive royal transport. The ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming like polished mirrors in the light of the system's twin suns. Ben had never seen anything so beautiful or precise. The royal transport was especially magnificent. It was 3 times the size of Ben's entire ship and decorated with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change in the light. Golden symbols marked it as belonging to the imperial family. Ben wondered what member of the royal house was traveling today. "Stay alert, Wanderer," came another voice over the radio. "We have reports of pirate activity in this sector." Ben frowned and checked his sensors. The space around them looked empty, but pirates were clever. They knew how to hide until the perfect moment to strike. Ben made sure his emergency systems were ready and his escape pods were charged. 20 minutes passed in peaceful formation flying. Ben was starting to relax when his proximity alarms began screaming. "Pirates! Multiple contacts!" Admiral Crix shouted over the radio. All ships engaged defensive positions. Space erupted in chaos. 30 pirate ships appeared from behind a nearby asteroid field, firing energy weapons and launching missiles. The pirates flew in wild, unpredictable patterns that made them hard to target. Their ships were mismatched and ugly, but they were fast and deadly. The Zephyrian warships responded with disciplined precision. Their weapons fired in calculated volleys, creating defensive barriers of energy around the royal transport. But the pirates had numbers and surprise on their side. Ben watched in horror as 2 Zephyrian ships exploded under concentrated fire. The perfect formation began to break apart as ships maneuvered to avoid incoming missiles. The royal transport, huge and slow, became an easy target. "Royal transport taking heavy damage," someone screamed over the radio. "Hull breach on decks 5 through 8. Ben saw the massive ship shudder under impact. Fire bloomed along its golden hull as atmosphere vented into space. The beautiful patterns were now broken by ugly scars of melted metal and debris. "This is Princess Vera," a new voice called out, calm despite the chaos around her. "Royal transport is losing power. We need immediate evacuation." Admiral Crix responded quickly. "Rescue ships moving to assist. Princess, prepare for emergency extraction." Ben watched 3 Zephyrian rescue vessels break from the convoy and race toward the damaged transport. Their sleek forms moved with typical Zephyrian grace, following precise approach vectors that their computers had calculated for maximum safety. That precision became their downfall. The pirates had been waiting for exactly this moment. As the rescue ships moved in their predictable patterns, concentrated fire from a dozen pirate vessels tore them apart. The explosions lit up the darkness of space like deadly fireworks. Rescue ships destroyed. Admiral Crix called out, his voice strained. All remaining vessels, maintain defensive positions around the transport. But it was too late. The Royal Transport shuddered again under heavy fire. Its massive hull began to break apart, splitting along stress fractures that ran like cracks in broken glass. Huge sections of the ship tumbled away into space, taking with them any hope of organized evacuation. Ben stared at the destruction and felt something hot rise in his chest. The Zephyrians might look down on humans, but no one deserved to die like this. Especially not when he could do something about it. Admiral Crix, this is cargo ship Wanderer, Ben called over the radio. I can reach the transport. Permission to attempt rescue? Negative, Wanderer, the Admiral replied. You lack proper rescue equipment. Maintain safe distance. Ben looked at his controls and made a decision that would change his life forever. Sorry, Admiral. Sometimes you have to improvise. He cut the radio connection and pushed his engines to maximum power. The Wanderer shot forward through the debris field like a dart through smoke. Pirates fired at him, but his small ship was much harder to hit than the massive rescue vessels had been. Ben's father had taught him to fly in asteroid fields where one mistake meant death. Those skills served him well now as he dodged chunks of burning metal and avoided energy beams that could vaporize his ship. The Wanderer twisted and rolled through the chaos with moves that no Zephyrian computer would ever calculate. Come on, girl, Ben whispered to his ship. Just a little further. The Royal Transport was breaking apart faster now. Huge sections of hull peeled away like flower petals in a storm. Ben could see escape pods launching from various parts of the ship, but most were immediately targeted by pirates who wanted no survivors. Through the smoke and fire, Ben spotted a section of the ship that was still intact. Emergency lights flickered along its hull, and he could see figures moving behind transparent aluminum windows. Someone was still alive in there. Ben brought his ship alongside the damaged section and activated his external cameras for a closer look. Through the smoke, he saw her. Princess Vera stood in what had once been an elegant observation lounge. Her silver skin was marked with cuts and burns, and her elaborate royal robes were torn and stained with blood. But her purple eyes still held the fierce pride of her ancient bloodline. She was trying to help other survivors even as the section around them continued to fall apart. Ben counted 6 other Zephyrians with the princess. Most were injured and all looked terrified. The observation lounge was losing atmosphere fast. He could see frost forming on the windows as the air leaked out into space. Princess Vera, this is cargo ship Wanderer, Ben called on emergency frequency. I am here to get you out. The princess looked up in surprise as Ben's voice came through her emergency communicator. She moved to the window and stared at the small human ship that had somehow reached them through impossible odds. You are the human cargo pilot, she said, her voice carrying the musical accent of high Zephyrian nobility. Your ship is not equipped for rescue operations. Maybe not by Zephyrian standards, Ben replied as he maneuvered closer to the damaged section. But humans are good at making things work with what we have. Ben studied the situation through his cameras. The observation lounge was connected to the main ship by a single corridor that was already half collapsed. The princess and her people had maybe 10 minutes before that section broke away completely. His ship had a small airlock, but it was designed for cargo loading, not emergency rescue. Most pilots would have calculated the odds and concluded the rescue was impossible. Ben did not bother with calculations. He looked at what he had and figured out how to make it work. The Wanderer carried emergency supplies for long cargo runs. Ben had spare oxygen tanks, emergency suits, and flexible docking tubes meant for connecting to space stations. It was not proper rescue equipment, but it was better than nothing. Ben extended his ship's small cargo arm and used it to punch through the observation lounge's weakened hull. Atmosphere rushed out, but he quickly deployed an emergency seal around the opening. It was not perfect, but it would hold long enough. "Princess, you need to move fast," Ben called. "This section is breaking apart." "How many people do you have?" "7 total," Princess Vera replied. 3 are badly injured and cannot move easily." Ben winced. His cargo hold could fit 7 people, but only if they squeezed together tight. And he still had to get them across the gap between ships. Working quickly, Ben connected his emergency tube to the hole his cargo arm had made. The flexible tunnel wobbled dangerously in the vacuum, but it held. He pressurized it with his spare oxygen and hoped it would be enough. "Princess, that tunnel is not going to last long," Ben warned. "You need to get everyone across right now." Princess Vera did not waste time arguing. She organized the survivors with the efficiency of someone trained to command. The injured were helped first, then the others followed. Ben watched through his cameras as they made their way across the unstable tunnel. Just as the last Zephyrian reached safety, the observation lounge tore away from the main ship. The tunnel collapsed, but everyone was already safe inside Ben's cargo hold. Ben sealed his airlock and immediately turned toward open space. The pirate attack was winding down, but his ship was small and vulnerable. He needed to get away from the battle zone before someone decided to target him. "Princess, are you and your people secure?" Ben called back to the cargo hold. "We are alive because of you," Princess Vera replied. "But several need medical attention soon." Ben checked his supplies. He had basic medical kits, but nothing designed for serious injuries. His cargo hold had emergency life support, but it was only meant to last a few hours for 1 or 2 people. With 7 passengers, his oxygen would run out much faster. How long to reach the nearest Zephyrian medical facility? Ben asked his navigation computer. 12 hours at maximum safe speed, the computer replied in its calm mechanical voice. Ben did the math in his head and did not like the result. They had maybe 8 hours of air with 7 people in the cargo hold. Even if he pushed his engines past safe limits, they would run out of oxygen before reaching help. Unless he got creative. Ben remembered his father working on life support systems in the mining colonies. The key was not just conserving oxygen, but making more of it. His ship carried water for the crew, and water could be split into oxygen and hydrogen with enough electrical power. Working quickly, Ben rerouted power from non-essential systems to his water recycling unit. He modified the system to produce oxygen instead of just cleaning drinking water. It was dangerous because it reduced power to his shields and weapons, but weapons would not help if they all suffocated. "Princess," Ben called back to the cargo hold. "I need everyone to stay as calm and still as possible. We are stretching our life support as far as it will go." "Understood," Princess Vera replied. "We will not waste the gift you have given us." The next 12 hours were the longest of Ben's life. He constantly monitored oxygen levels while pushing his modified life support system to its limits. Every hour, he calculated and recalculated their chances of survival. The Zephyrians in his cargo hold never complained, even though they were cramped into a space meant for mining equipment. Princess Vera kept the injured calm and helped distribute the emergency rations Ben passed back to them. Her composure under pressure impressed Ben more than all the stories he had heard about Zephyrian nobility. 8 hours into the journey, Ben's oxygen alarm started sounding. They were down to emergency reserves with 4 hours still to go. The water electrolysis system was producing oxygen, but not fast enough to keep up with 7 people breathing. Ben made another hard choice. He vented atmosphere from his own cockpit into the cargo hold, then switched to his emergency suit's internal air supply. The suit only had 2 hours of air, but it might be enough to get them to safety. "Princess," Ben called on his suit radio. "We are going to make it. Just hold on a little longer. You have put yourself at great risk for people you do not even know," Princess Vera replied. "Why would a human do such a thing?" Ben thought about the question as he watched his suit's air supply slowly drain away. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said finally. "That is enough reason." Princess Vera was quiet for several minutes. When she spoke again, her voice was thoughtful. "I have never met anyone like you, Ben Torres." The final hours passed in tense silence. Ben's suit air ran low, forcing him to take shallow breaths to conserve what remained. His vision started to blur from oxygen deprivation, but he kept the ship on course through sheer determination. Finally, the massive shape of Zephyr Prime appeared ahead of them. The capital world of the Zephyrian Empire was a jewel of crystalline cities and orbital platforms that sparkled like stars around a world of silver seas. "Zephyr Control, this is cargo ship Wanderer with emergency medical situation," Ben called weakly. "Princess Vera and 6 other survivors aboard. Requesting immediate docking and medical assistance." The response was immediate. "Wanderer, you are cleared for priority docking at Imperial Medical Base 7. Emergency crews standing by." Ben's hands shook as he guided his ship through the final approach. The docking clamps engaged with a solid thunk that was the most beautiful sound he had ever heard. Medical teams swarmed aboard before the engines had even stopped spinning down. As medics carried the injured Zephyrians to waiting ambulances, Princess Vera stopped beside Ben's chair. He was slumped over his controls, exhausted and barely conscious from oxygen deprivation. "Ben Torres," she said softly, "what you did today will not be forgotten." Ben tried to respond, but darkness closed over his vision. The last thing he remembered was Princess Vera's concerned voice calling for medical attention. When Ben woke up 3 days later in an Imperial medical facility, he found his room filled with Zephyrian officials. At the center of them stood the most imposing figure Ben had ever seen. Emperor Thane was 8 feet tall with silver skin that seemed to glow with its own light. His purple eyes held the wisdom and power of someone who had ruled for 300 years. When he spoke, his voice carried the absolute authority of divine right. "Ben Torres of Earth," the Emperor said formally, "you have saved the life of my daughter and proven yourself worthy of the highest honor our empire can bestow." Ben sat up slowly, still weak from his ordeal. "Your Majesty, I just did what anyone would do." Emperor Thane's expression grew serious. "No, young human. What you did required courage that few possess. By the ancient laws of our people, one who saves royal blood with such selfless heroism must be rewarded according to their deed." The Emperor gestured grandly, and every Zephyrian in the room dropped to one knee. "Therefore, by imperial decree and sacred tradition, you shall be wed to Princess Vera and become Prince Consort of the Zephyrian Empire." Ben stared at the Emperor in shock. Around the room, he could see news reporters activating their recording devices. Within hours, the announcement would spread across the galaxy. He had saved a princess and become a hero. But as Ben looked at the faces surrounding him, he realized his adventures were just beginning. Ben stared at Emperor Thane in complete shock. The words echoed in his mind like a broken recording. Marriage. To Princess Vera. To someone he had barely met, from a species he barely understood. "Your Majesty," Ben said carefully, "I am honored by your offer, but I think there might be some misunderstanding." Emperor Thane's purple eyes narrowed slightly. "There is no misunderstanding, young human. The laws of our people are absolute. One who saves royal blood through heroic sacrifice must be rewarded with marriage into the imperial family. This tradition has existed for over 2,000 years." Ben looked around the room at the assembled Zephyrian officials. Their faces showed no emotion, but he could sense their disapproval. To them, He was just a primitive human who had stumbled into something far beyond his understanding. But Your Majesty, Ben continued, Princess Vera and I do not even know each other. In human culture, marriage is usually based on love and mutual choice. A murmur of confusion rippled through the Zephyrian officials. Emperor Thane raised his hand for silence. Love? The Emperor asked, as if the word was foreign to him. Marriage among our people is a contract for genetic improvement and political alliance. Personal feelings are irrelevant to such important matters. Ben felt his heart sink. He had heard that Zephyrian society was formal and structured, but he had not realized how different their values truly were. The idea of marrying someone without love seemed impossible to him. Father, a clear voice said from the doorway. Perhaps we should discuss this matter in private. Princess Vera entered the medical room with graceful steps. She had recovered from her injuries and now wore elegant royal robes of deep blue silk. Her silver skin had regained its healthy glow, and her purple eyes held intelligent authority. Daughter, Emperor Thane said with obvious affection, this human has earned the right to join our family. The ceremony will take place in 1 month, as tradition demands. Princess Vera moved to stand beside her father, but Ben noticed she did not look happy about the announcement. Her expression was carefully neutral, but he could see tension in her shoulders. Of course, father, Princess Vera said formally. I will do my duty to our people. Ben studied her face and realized that she was no more enthusiastic about this arrangement than he was. The thought gave him some comfort, but also made him feel guilty. No one should be forced into marriage against their will. Your Majesty, Ben said, could I perhaps speak with Princess Vera privately before we proceed? I think we need to understand each other better. Emperor Thane considered the request for a long moment. Very well. You have 1 hour to discuss the arrangements. But the law cannot be changed, young human. The marriage will take place. The Emperor gestured to his officials, and they filed out of the room in perfect order. Ben found himself alone with Princess Vera for the first time since the rescue. She moved to the window and stared out at the crystal cities of Zephyr Prime. You do not want this marriage any more than I do, Princess Vera said without turning around. I can see it in your eyes. Ben sat up straighter in his medical bed. You are right, Princess. But not because there is anything wrong with you. It is just that humans believe marriage should be a choice made freely by both people. Princess Vera turned to face him, and he was surprised to see curiosity in her expression. Tell me about human marriage customs, she said. I have studied many species, but humans remain a mystery to me. Ben thought about how to explain something that seemed so natural to him. We believe that marriage should be built on love, trust, and partnership. 2 people choose to spend their lives together because they enjoy each other's company and want to face the future as a team. Love, Princess Vera repeated the word slowly. You mentioned this concept to my father. What exactly do humans mean by love? Ben realized he was trying to explain color to someone who had only seen in black and white. Love is caring about someone more than yourself. It is wanting them to be happy even if it costs you something. It is finding joy in their success and feeling their pain when they suffer. Princess Vera studied his face intently. Is this why you risked your life to save me and the others? Because of love? Not love for you specifically, Ben said honestly. But love for the idea that every life has value. My parents taught me that helping others is more important than personal safety. Princess Vera was quiet for several minutes. When she spoke again, her voice was thoughtful. Zephyrian society teaches that genetic superiority and social order are the highest values. We are trained from birth to suppress personal feelings in favor of duty and tradition. But what do you want? Ben asked. Not what tradition says, not what your father commands. What does Princess Vera want for her own life? The question seemed to surprise her. She moved away from the window and sat in a chair beside his bed. For the first time, Ben saw uncertainty in her composed features. "I have never been asked that question," she admitted. "Royal children are raised to serve the Empire, not to pursue personal desires. But during the rescue, when I thought we would all die, I found myself wishing I had experienced more of life before the end." Ben leaned forward slightly. "What would you have wanted to experience?" Princess Vera's eyes grew distant. "I wanted to see other worlds not as a royal representative, but as myself. I wanted to understand how other species live and think. I wanted to make decisions based on what felt right instead of what protocol demanded." "Those are good dreams," Ben said gently. "Maybe there is a way to make this situation work for both of us." Princess Vera looked at him with renewed interest. "What do you mean?" Ben had been thinking while they talked, and an idea was forming in his mind. "Your father says the marriage cannot be prevented. But maybe we can change what the marriage means." "Explain," Princess Vera said. "What if we approach this as a partnership instead of a traditional marriage?" Ben suggested. "We could work together to learn about each other's cultures and find ways to help both our peoples. We would be married in name, but we would build our relationship on friendship and mutual respect instead of duty." Princess Vera considered the proposal carefully. "You would be willing to stay here and become part of Zephyrian society?" "If we can find a way to make it meaningful," Ben said. "I have spent my life traveling between worlds and learning about different cultures. Maybe I could use that experience to help bridge the gap between humans and Zephyrians." "That would be valuable work," Princess Vera agreed. "Our people have remained isolated for too long. We could benefit from understanding other species better." Before they could continue their conversation, urgent alarms began sounding throughout the medical facility. Princess Vera quickly moved to the communication panel on the wall. "This is Princess Vera. What is the nature of the emergency?" "Your Highness," came the response, "we have received reports of additional pirate attacks on 3 outer colonies. The attacks appear to be coordinated and much larger than anything we have seen before." Ben felt cold dread settle in his stomach. "Princess, the attack on your transport was not random. It was too well planned and executed." Princess Vera's eyes widened with understanding. "You think the pirates have inside information?" "It is the only explanation that makes sense," Ben said. "They knew exactly when and where to strike. They knew which ships would respond and how they would react. Someone in your government is helping them." Princess Vera was quiet for several seconds as the implications sank in. "If you are correct, then our entire fleet could be in danger. But my father will never believe such an accusation without proof." Ben pushed himself out of bed despite his weakness. "Then we need to find that proof. Can you access shipping records and patrol schedules?" "Not from here," Princess Vera said. "But I could gain access from the palace computer systems. However, such an investigation would be treason if we are wrong. And if we are right but do nothing, more innocent people will die," Ben replied. "Sometimes you have to take risks to do what is right." Princess Vera studied his determined expression and made her decision. "Very well. But we must be extremely careful. If there truly is a traitor in the government, they will not hesitate to eliminate us." Over the next 3 days, Ben and Princess Vera worked together in secret to analyze shipping data and patrol records. They met in her private study in the palace, surrounded by holographic displays showing trade routes and military deployments. Ben discovered that his experience as a cargo pilot gave him insights that surprised Princess Vera. He understood the practical aspects of space shipping in ways that her theoretical education had not covered. "Look at this pattern," Ben said, pointing to a 3-dimensional map of recent attacks. "The pirates always strike when regular patrol ships are pulled away for special assignments. But those assignments are classified at the highest levels. Princess Vera manipulated the display to show administrative records. Only 5 people have access to both shipping schedules and patrol assignments. 3 are members of my father's inner council. Can you narrow it down further? Ben asked. Princess Vera called up financial records and cross-referenced them with the attack dates. After several hours of careful analysis, one name stood out clearly. Lord Commander Zarek, Princess Vera said quietly. He has been receiving large payments from an off-world account. The payments always come just before pirate attacks. Ben studied the evidence they had compiled. This is solid proof, but how do we present it to your father without putting ourselves in danger? We need to catch Zarek in the act, Princess Vera said. I can access the schedule for the next major shipping convoy. If we can predict when and where the pirates will strike, we can arrange for witnesses. Ben leaned back in his chair and admired Princess Vera's quick thinking. Working with her had shown him that beneath her formal royal exterior was a sharp intelligence and strong sense of justice. You know, Ben said, if we pull this off, it will prove that humans and Zephyrians make a good team. Princess Vera smiled for the first time since he had met her. Perhaps this partnership of yours has merit after all. They spent 2 more days preparing their trap. Princess Vera used her royal authority to arrange for a special shipping convoy carrying valuable medical supplies to the outer colonies. Lord Commander Zarek, believing the information was classified, passed details to his pirate contacts. Ben and Princess Vera secretly followed the convoy in a small scout ship. They positioned themselves where they could record everything that happened while staying far enough away to avoid detection. The attack unfolded exactly as Ben had predicted. The pirates appeared at the precise moment when regular patrols had been diverted on Zarek's orders. But this time, Princess Vera had arranged for additional ships to be hidden nearby. When the pirates attacked, they found themselves surrounded by Zephyrian warships that had been waiting for them. The battle was swift and decisive. Most of the pirate ships were captured, and their leaders were taken alive for questioning. Under interrogation, the pirate captains revealed that Lord Commander Zarek had been feeding them information for over 2 years. In exchange, he received a percentage of everything they stole. The scheme had made him wealthy while costing hundreds of Zephyrian lives. Emperor Thane was furious when presented with the evidence. Zarek was arrested immediately and sentenced to life imprisonment on a prison world. The Emperor publicly praised Ben and Princess Vera for their investigation. You have shown great wisdom in working together, Emperor Thane told them during a formal ceremony. Perhaps this marriage will bring benefits that I had not anticipated. Later that evening, Ben and Princess Vera walked together through the palace gardens. The formal ceremony of their betrothal would take place the following week, but Ben felt much better about the arrangement now. I have been thinking about what you said regarding partnership, Princess Vera said as they paused beside a fountain of liquid crystal. I believe such an approach could benefit both our peoples. How so? Ben asked. Your human perspective helped us solve a problem that our traditional methods had missed, Princess Vera explained. Meanwhile, working with our technology and resources allowed you to achieve things that would have been impossible alone. Ben nodded thoughtfully. So instead of trying to make me into a Zephyrian or you into a human, we could find ways to combine our different strengths. Exactly, Princess Vera said. I propose that our marriage become a symbol of cooperation between species rather than simply following tradition. I like that idea, Ben said. But what about your father? Will he accept such a change to Zephyrian customs? Princess Vera smiled with confidence. My father is wise enough to recognize success. If we can prove that cooperation produces better results than isolation, he will support our approach. Then we have work to do, Ben said. I want to establish exchange programs where humans and Zephyrians can learn from each other. Your people have amazing technology, but humans have practical experience with many different species and environments. And I want to create diplomatic missions to other worlds, Princess Vera added. The Zephyrian Empire has remained too isolated for too long. We need to build relationships with other civilizations. As they continued walking through the gardens, Ben realized that his life had changed completely in just a few weeks. He had started as a simple cargo pilot and was about to become a prince of one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. More importantly, he had found a partner who shared his values of cooperation and mutual respect. Princess Vera was intelligent, brave, and genuinely committed to making positive changes in the galaxy. Princess, Ben said as they reached the end of their walk, I think this partnership is going to work out better than either of us expected. I believe you are correct, Ben Torres, Princess Vera replied. And please, call me Vera. We are going to be partners, after all. Ben smiled as he looked up at the stars shining over Zephyr Prime. Tomorrow would bring new challenges as they worked to bridge the gap between their two very different cultures. But tonight, he felt hopeful about the future. The marriage ceremony took place 1 week later in the Great Crystal Cathedral of Zephyr Prime. Representatives from dozens of worlds attended to witness the unprecedented union between human and Zephyrian royalty. As Ben and Vera exchanged vows that emphasized partnership and mutual support rather than traditional submission and duty, he reflected on how much his life had changed. He had saved a princess and gained a wife, but more importantly, he had found a purpose that extended far beyond his own small existence. When the ceremony ended and they were officially married, Ben and Princess Vera walked hand in hand to greet their guests. Among the crowd, Ben spotted other humans who had traveled from Earth to attend the wedding. Their faces showed pride and excitement at seeing one of their own honored by such an ancient civilization. Ready to change the galaxy? Vera asked quietly as they prepared to begin their new life together. With you as a partner? Ben replied with a confident smile. Absolutely. The story of the human who saved a princess and married her by royal decree became legend throughout the galaxy. But the real story was just beginning as Ben and Vera worked together to build bridges between species and prove that cooperation was stronger than any single civilization standing alone.